about it right now, everything's okay. No matter where you find yourself, no matter what kind of stuff is going on in your life, underneath it all, everything's actually alright. You're okay. You have more power than you might be giving yourself credit for. And if you have something that's going on in your life right now that's challenging or painful, it's just a reminder to take a little bit better care of yourself. Because you're worth it. You can have this feeling anytime you choose.
Hey guys, Jayswan here. I've just finished snapping up this A-Z Gundam. I gotta say, it was a really enjoyable build. I've been painting a lot of kits recently, and so just snapping up a kit and appreciating what it looks like out of the box has been really therapeutic for me. It's not that stressful, and there's just something. I think it was a nice little break from painting kits. In this video, I want to talk about just what stood out to me during this build. I wouldn't really consider this a full-on review of sorts, but just more of a discussion about what I thought about the kit and what I thought was interesting. So why don't we just hop right in, and the first thing we can talk about is the appearance of this kit. So for the appearance of this kit, I really like this modern redesign on the Zeta Gundam. I really like the chest area, in which how they changed it to become a lot more bulky. It fills out the silhouette a lot more, and with the addition of these really big shoulder pads now, it just really gives it a heroic type of stance, I guess. In addition, adding a little bit more armor on the sides of the legs with this thruster and this wingtip, it really helps to bulk out the lower legs, but in addition, retain the sleekness that the Zeta Gundam is known for in its design. Lastly, talking about the backpack here, I really don't like it that much. I feel like the original Zeta's backpack was much better in filling out its silhouette. This just kind of feels strapped on, especially with the connections in the back. These are literally just connected on pegs in the back. I feel like this could have been implemented better in some way or form, but other than that, it looks good. Especially this head sculpt right here. It has an extra V-fin on top of the Zeta's original 4 V-fins here, so it just makes it look that much more intimidating and sharp. Now, what stood out to me in the articulation of this kit? Well, for the most part, it has normal articulation for a high grade. It has double jointed elbows, ball joints for the hands, which can move any way around. It has double jointed knees, and it's on a ball joint on the waist. However, there are some things about the articulation that are good and some of it that are bad, so why don't we just talk about that first. One of the first things about the articulation that stood out to me in this kit were the shoulder joints. These shoulder joints are actually pretty interesting. They first are on a sliding rail, so you can slide this in and out, and they have a butterfly joint once you slide them out, and in addition, they have a peg here so you can actually swivel them upwards. And now, this is kind of where I talk about how the design itself hinders the articulation. So here, it's pretty good articulation. It moves horizontally, and it looks pretty good. However, if you try to move this up and then try to get more articulation, you'd think that the arm would go up to there, probably at like up at a 45-degree angle, but it can't because it's so hampered by just this piece here, because this cover piece, and in addition this chest piece too. So realistically, you can only get up to horizontal. You really don't need any more of that, functionally speaking, but just wanted to note that. In addition, because this head sculpt has so many V-fins and so many just parts sticking out from the head, when you put these shoulder cannons down, you actually are going to bump them with the head when you try to turn it around. So what I suggest is that just fold these upward when you're moving the head, and then when you want to put them down, or you can just keep them in this upward position here. so you don't break any of these V-fins. This blue one feels fine, it feels very sturdy. This yellow one I'm worried about, so just be careful about that. In the chest, it does have a very unique type of joint. It has a vertical hinge joint that's connected to this chest piece, and this chest piece is actually connected on a ball joint. So what that does for you is that you can actually get an okay ab crunch from this, but the thing is that that connection is very, very prone to popping off. You got to be really careful with it. Because it's connected on a ball joint, you might think it also goes side to side, but it really doesn't. This torso part actually blocks most of the side to side, so you can really only get a little ab crunch from it. In addition, this ball joint connected at the waist is very prone to popping off on my kit. I don't know if this is an issue with other kits or whether it's a quality control issue, but it's just something I noted during the build. And also because the ball joint is seated so high up in the torso, it really only functions as a swivel. If you try to pull it out, the sheer weight of the top half of the Gundam is just gonna make it just pop off like that. So honestly, it only really functions as a swivel for me. Other than that, one part that was really interesting were the front skirts and the back skirts. I say interesting, but only just because just the way it was molded. So these are the front skirts that are molded the way they came out of the box. So they're actually connected at 2 points. So one here at the ball joint here, and then another here at in the front here. So what I did was actually I sawed these apart, split them to get more articulation. But I also just like the look of individual front skirts better. I don't really like the combined front skirt. I look that much, so that's what I did. This back skirt can move as well. It is rare for a high grade. I just thought that was something that was cool, and I appreciate that. For the legs, they're pretty normal. They do have a bit more articulation than normal to facilitate the transformation gimmick, which I'll show later. But other than that, fairly normal. One thing that really stood out to me, and I thought that was really weird, was that this foot is actually connected on a ball joint, and that ball joint is on a peg that can swivel back and forth. However, because of the design of the legs, and then because they go way down and pretty much act as like an ankle guard, you can't really move that peg that much. You really only get movement on that ball joint there. It's really limited too. So I just thought that was kind of weird to why they included that peg to swivel. It could have just been a straight peg, to be honest, and it would have been fine. Other than that, you can move the leg a little bit back and forward, and then you can just bend it right here. Again, it's for the transformation gimmick. On my kit, my peg here is slightly loose for some reason, so I can actually kind of move it a bit more versus this one, which is tighter. But again, the movement of it is really minimal. Alright, next thing I want to talk about is the accessories this kit comes with, so let me just move this out of the way first. The first thing I want to talk about here are the Hyper Mega Launchers. These are a reference to the original Hyper Mega Launcher the Zeta Gundam had, except these are way smaller. I just prefer to call these beam rifles instead because they just look like beam rifles. They follow a very similar aesthetic to the A-Z Gundam. It's very modern, minimalistic aesthetic. I really like these rifles. They have some really nice detail molded in the gray here. I really like this barrel here, this energy canister looking thing. I'm not really sure what it is, but yeah, they look really good. What they can actually do is that if you fold these handles in, and they're really easy to take out. It's a little notch here, you can just pull, it'll pop out like that. If you actually combine these together, you can wield them with one hand. And this is the twin Hyper Mega Launcher. Very cool weapon. Nothing really much else to say here. These actually also have one more gimmick, so I'll show you right here. So what you can actually do with this is you can actually connect the Hyper Mega Launchers onto the backpack and to get its prime cannon mode. I think it's really cool. However, the connection point is really weird. It kind of just plugs in at the bottom here, but then it goes downward and then up again. It's kind of a funky look, but it's okay. It's not too bad. Alright, now with the cannons out of the way, what we've got next is the shield here. I do not like this shield, period. It does not look that great in my opinion. It just feels like it's just slapped on to the kit, and it just looks weird in my opinion. Like, compared to the rifle, it just doesn't look as cohesive with the rest of the design, so could be better, but that's just my personal opinion here. What it does have though is that it has a really nice gimmick in which you can actually plug in a beam effect part right here that goes with it. So this just plugs in right here, and you get a little nice beam sword here. I think this is a cool gimmick for the shield. I just wish the shield looked better in my opinion, that's all. And lastly, it comes included with a Wave Rider core block. So what this will do is that basically we'll take pretty much all the parts off the Gundam and then just put them on this block. So let's get into transformation next. Alright, and so this is the transform A-Z Gundam into its Wave Rider mode. Now some of you might be asking, why didn't I show footage? Personally, one, I feel kind of lazy, but two, for the most part, it's honestly just a bunch of just taking parts off the Gundam and putting it on the core block. Actually, in fact, right here is the whatever is left of the Gundam. So it's literally just take pieces off and put them on the Wave Rider. That's kind of it. I don't think that's interesting to show, so I just didn't include it in. What do I have to say about the looks of this? Oops, that popped off. But overall, the looks of it are pretty solid. It actually reminds me more of the Delta series transformations rather than the Zeta series. Probably just the way this shield just kind of gives it just a point look right there. I don't know, that's just something that reminds me of the Delta series instead. But I really like this Wave Rider mode. The cannons are just really well implemented. They look amazing as thrusters. You've got plenty of thrusters here as well, thrusters here, thrusters here. It just really gives this the look of a high-speed aircraft. But yeah, nothing really much to say here. It's really cool. Alright, now that I've pretty much covered everything that I want to talk about the kit, well, what are my final thoughts? Well, I think this is a great kit personally. Subjectively speaking, I really love the design of it. I really love the accessories it comes with, other than the shield. The shield is really iffy. And yeah, there's really nothing much to say that I could say that's wrong about the kit. The only thing I can really mention are my quality control issues in which I had with the kit, but then again, I don't know if other people had the same issues I did, so I can't really comment about that. I really think it's a really nice modern redesign on the Zeta Gundam. The Wave Rider is very sleek and very stylish, very futuristic. The one thing that I want to comment on though is the price. Now, I got this actually from a local seller for about 20 bucks, which is a great deal because it actually retailed for about $28 to $30 here in the United States. And so the issue is that this kit was originally released as an Amazon Japan exclusive, but everywhere else in the world is released as a retail kit. So what does that mean? That means this kit actually has a limited production run, even though it is retail. So what that means is that it's really hard to find copies of this kit unless you didn't grab the initial run. So what that means is that aftermarket prices are really high. What I would suggest is, if you really like the kit, yes, go ahead buy it, but I would suggest only under $40. Anything over that, I feel like this kit isn't worth it. I know it offers a good amount of things, but it's just not worth it for a price over $40. So yeah, this has just been my thoughts about the A-Z Gundam. If you built this kit, what did you think about it? And hopefully I sparked your interest in possibly getting one of these. I would also appreciate much feedback from this, I guess, discussion / review. I kind of wanted to stray away from reviews because obviously there's so many of them, and I kind of just wanted to talk about my personal thoughts about it because I felt like that would be more interesting content. So then again, feedback would be much appreciated. Thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a good day.